Good morning. I'm going to start this morning with a morning prayer by Bahá'u'lláh. I have wakened in thy shelter, O my God, and it becometh him that seeketh that shelter to abide within the sanctuary of thy protection and the stronghold of thy defense. Illumine my inner being, O my Lord, with the splendors of the day spring of thy revelation, even as thou didst illumine my outer being with the morning light of thy favor. Here's a prayer for healing. Thy name is my healing, O my God. And remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and in the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. By Baha'u'lláh. Lauded be thy name, O Lord my God. I entreat thee by thy name, through which the hour hath struck, and the resurrection came to pass. And fear and trembling seized all that are in heaven and all that are on earth, to rain down out of the heavens of thy mercy and the clouds of thy tender compassion what will gladden the hearts of thy servants, who have turned towards thee and helped thy cause. Keep safe thy servants and thy handmaidens, O my Lord, from the darts of idle fancy and vain imaginings, and give them from the hands of thy grace a draught of the soft flowing waters of thy knowledge. Thou truly art the Almighty, the most exalted, the ever forgiving, the most generous. In his name, the exalted, the all-highest, the most sublime. Glorified art thou, O Lord my God. O thou who art my God and my Master, and my Lord and my support, and my hope and my refuge and my light. I ask of thee by thy hidden and treasured name, which none knoweth save thine own self, to protect the bearer of this tablet from every calamity and pestilence, and from every wicked man and woman, from the evil of the evildoers, and from the scheming of the unbelievers. Preserve him, moreover, O my God, from every pain and vexation. O thou who holdest in thy hand the empire of all things, thou truly art powerful over all things. Thou doest as thou willest, and ordainest as thou pleasest. O thou King of kings, O thou kind Lord, O thou source of ancient bounty, of grace, of generosity and bestowal. O thou healer of sicknesses, O thou sufficer of needs, O thou light of light, O thou light above all lights, O thou revealer of every manifestation, O thou the compassionate, O thou the merciful, do thou have mercy upon the bearer of this tablet, through thy most great mercy and thine abundant grace, O thou the gracious, thou the bounteous. Guard him, moreover, through thy protection, from whatsoever his heart and mind may find repugnant. Of those endued with power, thou verily art the most powerful. The glory of God rest upon thee, O thou rising sun. Do thou testify unto that which God hath testified of his own self, that there is none other God besides him, the Almighty, the best beloved. Prayer by the Bab. Ordain for me, O my Lord, and for those who believe in thee, that which is deemed best for us in thine estimation, as set forth in the Mother Book. For within the grasp of thy hand thou holdest the determined measures of all things. Thy goodly gifts are unceasingly showered upon such as cherish thy love. And the wondrous tokens of thy heavenly bounties are amply bestowed on those who recognize thy divine unity. We commit unto thy care whatsoever thou hast destined for us, and implore thee to grant us all the good that thy knowledge embraceth. Protect me, O my Lord, from every evil that thine omniscience perceiveth, inasmuch as there is no power nor strength but in thee. No triumph is forthcoming save from thy presence, and it is thine alone to command. Whatever God hath willed hath been, and that which he hath not willed shall not be. There is no power nor strength except in God, the most exalted, the most mighty. And here's another prayer by the Bahá'í. Glory be to thee, O God. Thou art the God who hath existed before all things, who will exist after all things, and will last beyond all things. Thou art the God who knoweth all things, and is supreme over all things. Thou art the God who dealeth mercifully with all things, who judgeth between all things, and whose vision embraceth all things. Thou art God, my Lord. Thou art aware of my position. Thou dost witness my inner and outer being. Grant thy forgiveness unto me, and unto the believers who responded to thy call. Be thou my sufficing helper against the mischief of whosoever may desire to inflict sorrow upon me or wish me ill. Verily, thou art the Lord of all created things. Thou dost suffice everyone, while no one can be self-sufficient without thee. I'll read some more prayers. Intone, O my servant, the verses of God that have been received by thee, as intoned by them who have drawn nigh unto him, that the sweetness of thy melody may kindle thine own soul and attract the hearts of all men. Whoso reciteth in the privacy of his chamber the verses revealed by God, the scattering angels of the Almighty shall scatter abroad the fragrance of the words uttered by his mouth, and shall cause the heart of every righteous man to throb. Though he may at first remain unaware of its effect, yet the virtue of the grace vouchsafed unto him must needs sooner or later exercise its influence upon his soul. Thus have the mysteries of the revelation of God been decreed by virtue of the will of him who is the source of power and wisdom. O thou whose face is the object of my adoration, whose beauty is my sanctuary, whose habitation is my goal, whose praise is my hope, whose providence is my companion, whose love is the cause of my being, whose mention is my solace, whose nearness is my desire, whose presence is my dearest wish and highest aspiration. I entreat thee not to withhold from me the things thou didst ordain for the chosen ones among thy servants. Supply me then with the good of this world and of the next. Thou truly art the King of all men. There is no God but thee, the ever forgiving, the most generous. My God, my adored one, my King, my desire, What tongue can voice my thanks to thee? I was heedless, thou didst awaken me. I had turned back from thee, thou didst graciously aid me to turn toward thee. I was as one dead, thou didst quicken me with the waters of life. I was withered, thou didst revive me with the heavenly stream of thine utterance that hath flowed forth from the pen of the All-Merciful. O divine providence, all existence is begotten by thy bounty. Deprive it not of the waters of thy generosity, neither do thou withhold it from the ocean of thy mercy. I beseech thee to aid and assist me at all times and under all conditions, and seek from the heaven of thy grace thine ancient favor. Thou art in truth the Lord of bounty, and the sovereign of the kingdom of eternity. Those last two were by Bahá'u'lláh. This one's by the Bab. Lauded be thy name, O Lord our God. Thou art in truth the knower of things unseen. Ordain for us such good as thine all-embracing knowledge can measure. Thou art the sovereign Lord, the Almighty, the best beloved. All praise be unto thee, O Lord. We shall seek thy grace on the appointed day, and shall put our whole reliance in thee, who art our Lord. Glorified art thou, O God. Grant us that which is good and seemly, that we may be able to dispense with everything but thee. Verily thou art the Lord of all worlds. O God, recompense those who endure patiently in thy days, and strengthen their hearts to walk undeviatingly in the path of truth. Grant then, O Lord, such goodly gifts as would enable them to gain admittance into thy blissful paradise. Exalted art thou, O Lord God. Let thy heavenly blessings descend upon homes whose inmates have believed in thee. Verily, unsurpassed art thou in sending down divine blessings. Send forth, O God, such hosts as would render thy faithful servants victorious. Thou dost fashion the created things through the power of thy decree as thou pleasest. Thou art in truth the sovereign, the creator, the all-wise. Say, God is indeed the maker of all things. He giveth sustenance in plenty to whomsoever he willeth. He is the creator, the source of all beings, the fashioner, the almighty, the maker, the all-wise. He is the bearer of the most excellent titles throughout the heavens and the earth, and whatever lieth between them. All do his bidding, and all the dwellers of earth and heaven celebrate his praise, and unto him shall all return. Here's another prayer by the Bab. O my God, my Lord and my Master, I have detached myself from my kindred, and have sought through thee to become independent of all that dwell on earth, and ever ready to receive that which is praiseworthy in thy sight. Bestow on me such good as will make me independent of aught else but thee, and grant me an ampler share of thy boundless favors. Verily thou art the Lord of grace abounding. Here's a prayer by Abdu'l-Baha. Lord, pitiful are we, grant us thy favor. Poor, bestow upon us a share from the ocean of thy wealth. Needy, do thou satisfy us. Abased, give us thy glory. The fowls of the air and the beasts of the field receive their meat each day from thee, and all beings partake of thy care and thy loving kindness. Deprive not this feeble one of thy wondrous grace, and vouchsafe by thy might unto this helpless soul thy bounty. Give us our daily bread, and grant thine increase in the necessities of life, that we may be dependent on none other but thee, may commune wholly with thee, may walk in thy ways, and declare thy mysteries. Thou art the Almighty and the loving, and the provider of all mankind. I'm going to say a prayer for children by Baha'u'lláh. O Lord my God, this is a child that has sprung from the loins of one of thy servants, to whom thou hast granted a distinguished station in the tablets of thine irrevocable decree, in the books of thy behest. I beseech thee by thy name, whereby everyone is enabled to attain the object of his desire, to grant that this child may become a more mature soul amongst thy servants. Cause him to shine forth with the power of thy name. Enable him to utter thy praise, to set his face towards thee, and to draw nigh unto thee. Verily it is thou who hast from everlasting been powerful to do as thou willest, and who wilt to eternity remain potent to do as thou pleasest. There is none other God but thee, the exalted, the august, the subduer, the mighty, the all-compelling. Okay, I'm going to say the prayer for America. And I do need to explain again, there's a reference to this just government and to the worthiness of the American nation in this prayer by Abdu'l-Baha. And my understanding, this is just what I think. I've not heard anybody else say this, but I think that when Abdu'l-Baha refers to the justice of the American democracy, I think what he's saying is that because it gives a voice to the people, not necessarily because everything that we're doing is good or right. So I feel like I have to say that disclaimer every time. O thou kind Lord, this gathering is turning to thee. These hearts are radiant with thy love. These minds and spirits are exhilarated by the message of thy glad tidings. Let this American democracy become glorious in spiritual degrees, even as it has aspired to material degrees, and render this just government victorious. That would be spiritually. Confirm this revered nation to upraise the standard of the oneness of humanity. to promulgate the most great peace, to become thereby most glorious and praiseworthy among all the nations of the world. O God, this American nation is worthy of thy favors and is deserving of thy mercy. Make it precious and near to thee through thy bounty and bestowal. And now I'm going to recite Abdu'l-Bahá's tablet for the northeastern states. O thou kind Lord, praise be unto thee that thou hast shown us the highway of guidance. Open the doors of the kingdom and manifested thyself through the Sun of reality. To the blind thou hast given sight. To the deaf thou hast granted hearing. Thou hast resuscitated the dead. Thou hast enriched the poor. Thou hast shown the way to those who have gone astray. Thou hast led those with parched lips to the fountain of guidance. Thou hast suffered the thirsty fish to reach the ocean of reality. And thou hast invited the wandering birds to the rose garden of grace. O thou Almighty, we are thy servants and thy poor ones. We are remote and yearn for thy presence. Our thirst for the water of thy fountain are ill, longing for thy healing. We are walking in thy path and have no aim or hope save the diffusion of thy fragrance, so that all souls may raise the cry of, O God, guide us to the straight path. May their eyes be opened to behold the light. May they be freed from the darkness of ignorance. May they gather around the lamp of thy guidance. May every portionless one receive a share. May the deprived become the confidants of thy mysteries. O Almighty, look upon us with the glance of mercifulness. Grant us heavenly confirmation. Bestow upon us the breath of the Holy Spirit, so that we may be assisted in thy service, and like unto brilliant stars, shine in these regions with the light of thy guidance. Verily thou art the powerful, the mighty, the wise, and the seeing. Okay. So now, I'm going to share with you a quote by Bahá'u'lláh. And then I'm going to read this delightful parts of this delightful tablet called the Words of Wisdom, which I think you will enjoy. This quote goes like this: "Be ye as a mountain in the cause of your Lord, the Almighty, the All-Glorious, the Unconstrained. I swear by my life, nothing save that which profiteth them can befall my loved ones. To this testifieth the pen of God, the most powerful, the all-glorious, the best beloved." And here's one more quote before I start the Words of Wisdom. "True liberty consisteth in man's submission unto my commandments, little as ye know it. Say, the liberty that profiteth you is to be found nowhere, except in complete servitude unto God, the eternal truth. And here we go with the Words of Wisdom. In the name of God, the exalted, the Most High, the source of all good is trust in God, submission unto his command, and contentment with his holy will and pleasure. And by the way, I want to say that if you have any questions about what I'm reading, please post them, and I'll do my best to answer them. The essence of wisdom is the fear of God, the dread of his scourge and punishment, and the apprehension of his justice and decree. The essence of religion is to testify unto that which the Lord hath revealed, and follow that which he hath ordained in his mighty book." And of course, as Baha'is, we believe that that book is renewed from age to age, and that the teachings of God are brought up to date with the world as it is. The source of all glory is acceptance of whatsoever the Lord hath bestowed, and contentment with that which God hath ordained. The essence of love is for man to turn his heart to the beloved one and sever himself from all else but him, and desire not save that which is the desire of his Lord. I'm going to read that one more time. The essence of love is for man to turn his heart to the beloved one and sever himself from all else but him, and desire not save that which is the desire of his Lord. True remembrance is to make mention of the Lord, the all-praised, and forget aught else beside him. Okay. Now I'm going to continue reading Baha'u'llah's letter to Nasir-ed-Din Shah, the Shah of Persia, written in the 1860s. Baha'u'llah was a prisoner, and he was an exile. He was banished 4 times, and it was Nasir-ed-Din Shah that banished him from Persia to Iraq and had a hand in his further banishments. And in this letter, Baha'u'llah asks Nasir-ed-Din Shah to look for himself into the plight of Baha'u'llah and his followers, because others were responsible and Nasir-ed-Din Shah just gave the agreement. He never really looked into things. So he's asking him to look into things and to be just and to take care of the poor. He's giving him advice on how to conduct the affairs of his kingdom. And this letter is found in a couple of different places. It's found in the Suriy-i-Haykal, which is the Suri of the temple, which is itself, that tablet is found in the Summons of the Lord of Hosts, which is a compilation of tablets by Baha'u'llah, and I will read from that. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit and read a couple of paragraphs that I read yesterday just to give context to what I'm going to read today. He says, "What? Will the people dispute then that whereof they themselves stand witness? Will they deny that which they know to be true? I know not in what wilderness they roam. Do they not see that they are embarked upon a journey from which there is no return? How long will they wander from mountain to valley, from hollow to hill? Hath not the time come for those who believe to humble their hearts at the mention of God? Blessed is he who hath said, or now shall say, Yea, by my Lord, the time is come, and the hour hath struck, and who thereafter shall detach himself from all that hath been, and deliver himself up entirely unto him who is the possessor of the universe and the Lord of all creation. And yet what hope? For naught is reaped, save that which hath been sown, and naught is taken up, save that which hath been laid down, unless it be through the grace and bestowal of the Lord." So I think he's saying we're going to reap what we sow. So isn't it time to humble ourselves and to submit ourselves to the will of God and to try to be the best people that we can possibly be, to rise above our weaknesses? And he's saying we're going to reap what we sow. However, there is such a thing as the grace and bestowal of God, which also plays into our destiny. He says, "Hath the womb of the world yet conceived one whom the veils of glory shall not hinder from ascending unto the kingdom of his Lord, the all-glorious, the Most High?" And here he's talking about, he mentions the veils of glory. And what he's saying is, we human beings are so impressed by outward glory, whether it be political or in the entertainment field or even leaders of thought, that, that it's almost as though we've lost the ability to think for ourselves. But in order to think for ourselves, we need to have the touchstone of the teachings of God to measure against, and that the teachings of God for today come from the manifestation of God for today. So we cannot expect to read the holy books of the past and derive from them all the information that we need to live a spiritual life today, because those revelations of the past, beautiful as they are, and as much of their revelation still remains applicable, those revelations cannot address the issues of today's world. And if we want spiritual guidance to effectively address the issues of today's world, we have to go to the manifestation of God for today, and that is Bahá'u'lláh. And if you don't believe me, if you think that this is just another path, just another leader, I advise you to look into it, look it up, because it's very different. It's very different from everything else that's going on. Because the Baha'i faith is organizing its followers, and anybody who wants to look into it to serve the human race in a way that will be effective and effectively change society. And I'm not going to say more than that, because really, if you want to know, look into it. I'm going to go on. So he's asking the question, are there people who can actually go beyond being impressed by these outward show of glory? And he says, is it yet within us to perform deeds as will dispel our afflictions and draw us nigh unto him who is the causer of causes? Baha'u'lláh and his followers were so severely persecuted for so long. He was a prisoner for 40 years. The persecutions never stopped. The Baha'is are still being persecuted, especially in the East. And I think, he's just, my guess is he's just trying to pull from himself more faith and more faith to keep going. We beseech God to deal with us according to his bounty and not his justice, and to grant that we may be of those who have turned their faces unto their Lord and severed themselves from all else. Now this paragraph that I'm about to read is one of the most heart-rending paragraphs I've ever seen. I have seen, O Shah, in the path of God, what eye hath not seen, nor ear heard. Mine acquaintances have repudiated me, and my pathways have been straitened. The fount of well-being hath run dry, and the bower of ease hath withered. How numerous the tribulations which have reigned, and will soon reign upon me. I advance with my face set towards him who is the Almighty, the All-Bounteous, whilst behind me glideth the serpent. Mine eyes have rained down tears until my bed is drenched. I sorrow not for myself, however. By God, mine head yearneth for the spear, out of love for its Lord. I never passed a tree, but mine heart addressed it, saying, O would that thou wert cut down in my name, and my body crucified upon thee, in the path of my Lord. For I see the people wandering distraught and unconscious in their drunken stupor. They have raised on high their passions and set down their God. Methinks they have taken his cause for a mockery and regard it as a play and pastime, believing all the while that they do well, that they dwell securely in the citadel of safety. Howbeit the matter is not as they fondly imagine. Tomorrow they shall behold that which today they are wont to deny. Okay. So, my prayer for us today is that we get what we need to grow spiritually. That we come to understand that everything that comes to us is for the enlightenment of our souls. Everything is an opportunity to grow closer to God. I pray that we be patient, that we have patience, that our patience be enlarged. I pray that we can be kind to others and rise above ourselves. And I pray that we seek guidance from God as to how to handle the challenging things in our lives. And I'm going to end with a Baha'i invocation. Ya Bahá'u'lláh, O thou glory of the most glorious.